Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Far Point Farms here in the mountains of North Carolina. Tonight we'll be taking a look at this. This is the President Washington, also known as the Uniden Washington. But this is an early President Washington unit that I picked up for $5 at the Shelby HAM Fest last year. And before I move on to that, hey, I'd like to say thanks to the President Corporation for sending me this cool Christmas present. That's right, President Makes CB Great Again hat. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, so the President Washington. This has to be one of the most popular base stations of all times. I would say it's between this and the Cobra. Is it the 142 or 148? I can't remember which one was the mobile and which was the base. But this was like the bread and butter sideband base station of its time. It was easily modifiable. It was relatively inexpensive considering. And it was only outdone by the President Madison, which was their fleet, you know, their top of the line, which usually had a clock, either digital or analog, which I also picked up at the Shelby HAM Fest. Or on the Cobra side, you moved up to the 2000. Now Cobra, for some reason, also had the 1000, which was like a 2000, but without sideband. So no, I don't know that anybody actually bought those. But back to this one, $5, got it home. It was rough looking, to say the least, covered in dust and dirt and debris. It was part of a larger kit. I ended up picking this up, a three-way meter, which is what I was actually interested in on the table. And like a weird 70s preamp / amp that covers 10 through 80 meters, which I have not played with yet, but it's an interesting old school amp. Looks like it's in pieces, so not a lot of hope there. But lo and behold, I cleaned this thing off, plugged it in, and it works. It actually works great. Let me go ahead and show you some close-ups of it. Here's the front of it, and the side here. There's the bottom, and here's the back. And let me go ahead and zoom in on the back there. There's the close-up there, and as you can see, this unit does have extra channels added, and that was a big mod back in the day. Again, we've talked about free banding as an episode or a video that I've made here that talks about out-of-band experience or free banding, and that was back when CB was in its heyday. You had so much traffic between that and solar conditions that it was oftentimes hard to talk locally, so you would have guys that would add these extra channels to radios so they could talk slightly above or slightly below the normal 40 channels, cut down on that interference from other operators out there. So this one does have that modification. My very first base station was a unit in Washington, my first true base station. And I had that thing for years. It finally died, and I replaced it with another one, and it also died. So we're talking, 20 years worth of radios. And so it's just awesome to come across one of these. Now, as you can see, this booger's got some use. I mean, I cleaned it a lot, but it's still pretty well worn. One thing you can usually tell when you go out to yard sales or something like that, if you come across a radio, a lot of times, like Cobra 29 is the one I always think of. If you can't see the volume, like if it's worn away, and you can see right here on this, again, here's a close-up of it, how much of the paint is worn off of that, that means this thing got a lot of use. And heck, I'll go ahead and I'll turn it on, leave it on with the volume down, just so you can see all the lights are working on it. We got our volume control over here. We have an earphone jack over here. Now, my old unit in Washington also had extra channels added, but they removed the phono plug and just added a three-way switch there, which is kind of interesting. This one has a squelch, the mic gain. Now, mine was tuned up so much you had to have the mic gain, set back with a power mic on there. And then we have RF gain over here, which was nice, and AM lower sideband and upper sideband. So those pretty much rounded the switch. This one here, again, this guy obviously liked to talk on sideband. Take a look at the wear marks around the clarifier. So this was a guy who was constantly tuning to find the best sound when he was on sideband. So whoever owned this certainly got a lot of use out of it. And then, of course, we got our switches over here. Let's see here. That one is noise blanker, I believe. This one here, A&L, and that one here, 919. Oh, actually, I think that might be PA. I can't remember, but yeah, 919, so emergency channel. So the thing is functional. I'll roll through the dial here. You can see even the LEDs, the number dial LEDs, are all working fine. These three also all working fine. And the light for the meter is working fine. The meter does stick a little bit. Sometimes when you key down, it'll go up and kind of hang. But there's a little fix for that. You squirt just a little bit of lubricant in there. You can free those up usually. This one, definitely not too far gone because it does still twitch and move. But so cool, man. A President Washington. And what a nice unit. Power supply still working good. Now, there's no skip rolling right now, or at least there wasn't here earlier on. And all of the part here, let me turn this down before I go that far, is that, again, it's got extra channels added. There's 3 switches on the back that I showed you before, or 2 switches on the back. One of them is just toggles up and down. The other one is a 3-position switch. So this has a lot of extra channels added. And because I don't have any kind of paperwork on it, it's hard to know what exactly those channels are. Are they where does the regular 40 fall in? Like, where does the position need to be set? So while playing with this thing, I have picked up some transmissions. I've not been able to communicate with anyone, although I can verify that it is outputting on other radios that I have here at the house, but I haven't made any actual contacts with it. It sounded fine when I transmit, but I have no idea where those channels are going. So I might take this thing apart, clean up the inside a little bit, and try to determine what kit was installed on this thing and see if I can find a chart with frequencies. Because of all the gadgets and toys I have here on the farm, I actually don't have a frequency counter, which is kind of weird. But if anyone out there has one and wants to trade parts or something like that, let me know. Maybe I can end up with a frequency counter sometime next year. But anyway, yeah, this is it. Just another cool base station from really the peak, the heyday, or the second heyday of CB radios. I would say the mid 80s through late 90s were a great time in most of the country for CB radio. And this radio, I think they finally stopped making it under the Uniden brand anyway, sometime right around the turn of the century, 2000, 2001. An excellent, excellent quality radio, easily modifiable. The Peak and Tune or the Golden Screwdriver certainly has had its hand at this radio at some point in its life. But just an overall, for its era, great base station. That's it for tonight. I'm Eric, the owner of Farpoint Farms, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And once again, thank you to the President Corporation for sending me the hat. Pretty cool, my friends. I'll see you after the holidays. Take care.
There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms. Freedom is mighty sweet. Liberty sows its seed at Farpoint.